support you in certain types of ways. And there is fear that surrounds that type of energy as well. Like with like Elon Musk, that conversation, right? He's a um, South African man that grew up under apartheid. And here he's talking about how the Bible speaks about race not in a negative way. Well, based on that context of what I just said, if he speaks about a black person working for him for minimum wage isn't an issue, that's it's not going to sound. You see, like it's not going to
But
sound
the thing
very
was, he was just saying that slavery was not like spoken down to in the Bible. They were just referencing slavery in general. And I took it somewhat out of context, but it was, to me, I was feeding into the we are still slaves to some degree, and that slavery, even in the Bible, was not looked at as a problem. And I guess anytime that we're all indoctrinated and kind of numb to our inner understanding, we're part slaves.
Mhm. Yeah, but you see what how you kind of see it as nothing that is negative, but then I could see it from my point of view based upon my history and
Mhm.
based upon the reference that if slavery was referencing my people, how it can be negative. So you don't have that same emotional attachment that I would. So-
I hear that.
and but my emotional attachment changed my way of thinking, the way that I understood, and the way I even perceived him in that type of way, right? So it's not like you. So that's the fine line and thin line that is where we it's hard that to grow out of that type of way until
Mhm.
everyone is on the understanding of this is why and this is what causes those triggers, right? And how we all should probably watch the context as far as what we speak whenever having those type of conversations, and to help everyone kind
So
of
it's like being
evolve and
more careful where somebody's already wounded. Like there's already a wound there. So don't reactivate the wound with ignorance. Move with, like, as they say, trauma informed. Like move conscious of the fact that there's a trauma that has been alive, like you said, for hundreds of years. So even though it's not currently active emotionally, it's still very present.
correct. Yeah. Yeah. The only way to kill ignorance is through understanding. There has to be a understanding, and when you ignore that understanding, and when you try to act like it didn't happen, this whole getting rid of the education system or this victimization, or this pro woke context that is taking place within the schools, which I'm really confused because I've been in the schools. There's no pro woke like context that they say they're trying to get rid of. But I guess new history is being discovered. I guess being taught in certain instances in classrooms, and they're trying to make it acceptable. But yeah. So without that understanding, there will. I hate to say there will always be this intense thought and process, but until the people that hire the elitists, and everyone else up has that mentality and it trickles down, I think that's the only way that we all can feel comfortable, right? It was like Muhammad Ali was speaking one time. He was like, you see a whole bunch of rattlesnakes, how am I supposed to know which one is going to bite me, right? Even though that you may have some friendly people in the group, there's still this connotation that there are still people out there that know these things and are aware, but would never, eliminate it to a certain degree because of trying to keep control, or uh, trying to show that it's okay to, I wouldn't say enslave, but to, use other people to one's benefit, But yeah, there's always, whenever you try to say something was okay, it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, wait, so
Well,
you
I think
you
there's a
just
lot of,
point out.
and there's a lot of people that, like, so say everyone's the same, everyone's yellow, everyone's whatever, everyone's the same. there's still in those groupings people who don't want the best for everybody, who cause undermining problems, who try to take more than is their share or do less than they need to do. Like that type of energy exists in all collectives.
Yeah, for sure. No, it
So
does.
then I think
Uh,
it's more about how does those who are drawn to the sweet spot or the we consciousness, whichever, however, how do those that are inclined in that way stay steady and clear? Because I feel like what happens is when somebody starts to antagonize or pull it down or take it left or whatever, there needs to be a solidarity with those who are moving forward that lets that one come in when they're ready, but we don't lose our focus because of that one. And sometimes when we're hyper focused on these little details, it feels like we're losing our focus on that just one instead of working with what is collected.
mhm.
It's like in families, sometimes whole families get broken apart because one person isn't able to kind of like get themselves on the shared vision.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it would. I don't think the system can be changed just by. I said, yeah, the trickle down effect of the leaders, but now, yeah, from what you just stated, yeah, it doesn't. It wouldn't happen like that. Truthfully, I think it would. The spark can be created like that, but the real change actually happens with the general population, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, because it shouldn't take one people or person in each particular group or sector to
Yeah.
be able to
And that's
change
the
the dynamic.
leadership. That's the call to leadership and sovereignty. Because, like, if you see someone else not punching out or not wiping down a table or not doing something, and then you're like, well, they don't do it, so I'm not going to do it. What are you doing? You got to do your best
Right.
regardless of what someone else is doing. That's where
Hmm.
mastery takes hold. You don't only do it when somebody's watching, right?
Yeah,
You got
for
to do
sure.
it because you do it.
Yeah, and that's the nine of spades, king of hearts, of being able to use your emotions in positive ways or let it to spark. I'll read out the kind of the nine of spades because, this whole conversation. Mhm.
I'm going to listen. I'm just going to turn off my mic and go get my dinner, but go ahead, read it out.
But yeah, this whole conversation has been from an essence of leading by example, and using your emotions. Like I said, I could have gotten triggered, but how would me as a leader be able to come and have a conversation about how I'm triggered without it further disrupting my emotions, and being sympathetic or empathetic of where Madeline may come from a not saying ignorant, but of not knowing what may have happened or how I was triggered, So how do you use your emotions in a positive way and show emotional control in the way of leadership? So that is an excellent, I think, example. We just gave a live example of the nine of spades, king of hearts, and how they should live and go by life, by challenging someone by emotions and thought and by conversation rather than physical and emotions and getting active within the other ways that it shouldn't. But the nine of spades, I'll go ahead and read it out because just to show how it kind of relates, other than me just telling you it is, right? So the keynote for success in this card is sublimation of the emotions. So what does sublimation? Sublimation, the diversion or modification of instinctual impulse into a culturally higher or socially more acceptable activity, right? So how do you transform or alchemize those emotions into a higher form of emotional expression outside of the way that you may be traditionally triggered, right? So the position bespeaks difficulties, but the pattern itself is not a hard one, which that's debatable, right? As in the case of all nines, impersonality must be developed. Impersonality. What is impersonality? I spoke to it, but I want to get the exact. Not influenced by showing or involving personal feelings. right? So not existing as a person, having no personality, but let's look at it. Used with a formal subject and expressing an action not attributable to a definite subject. So using or your emotions and not getting personally involved, right? It's like I said, I could have got personally triggered, from that conversation, or the way that she asked that particular question. So, as in the case of all nines, impersonality must be developed, or there's a bond to be suffering, or there's bound to be suffering, right? So, without that essence, from the nines, you're sure to suffer if you can't separate those two. The great obligation imposed upon space is always latent, consciously or subconsciously, and is further augmented by the nines. And it's like that because it's a buildup, right? It's like a from 0 to 9 is a buildup and the birth of these habits, the way that you see things, the way you go through things. So you start to develop habits consciously or subconsciously. The Venus line directs them to love as an objective, but as soon as they become personally involved, their work is interfered with, obstacles to accomplish arise, and the inner conflict is set up that disturbs their equilibrium and wrecks their nerves, right? So, like this conversation, if I was to get personally involved, and it has happened to me at work as well, where my job and my mission was overthrown by my personal emotions, right? They suffer when they become unfit to serve. These people are closing one phase of their soul evolution and are being initiated into another. None of them are underdeveloped or unaware, and it is that very awareness that disturbs them, right? So sometimes they say that whenever you woke is kind of difficult to live sometimes when you woke, because you do get a lot more emotionally um, charged from things that aren't right due to their emotional conflict. Psychic illness often develop, and they may for a time be incapacitated for active work. So yeah, it's like, that essence of being woke or having this type of understanding can break you down and make you become mentally ill, because you're just wondering why everyone else is so unaware, or not being able to understand, and not able to fix the same issues that you may see. But that that thing that drives you crazy about everyone else can actually push you to a point where it makes you unfit to kind of lead as well, because it's like everyone's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me that she was feeling like that over the weekend. That's funny you say that. But the part where you said that we have habits that we grow, or ways that we see things, and then they change. I mean, that 0 to 9, like you said, I mean, it's a let go and grow card, right? It's
Hmm.
not a let go and hold on to what you know and take it with your fist. Like that's not what it's about. It goes right into that heart space. It's about let go and see what happens next,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the
Yeah.
fault of mastery.
Yeah, and it's necessary to be a leader, and I think one of those things where we wasn't really taught that, it's kind of like sometimes we're taught to hold on to tradition, hold on to the things that's how we got here. So, but it's like, is that how life works? Even the Aquarius essence is like letting go of those traditions and some things that doesn't serve you anymore. Like you said, let go and grow, let go of the things that don't serve you at this particular time. Because if you don't, you can become extinct.
Truth right there, right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was just the last little part. We'll get out of here. I was going to speak to the Nine of Spades, because during this week, Nine of Spades week, there's a rap battle, rap beef between two guys that don't want to let it go. but, but for the Jack of Hearts, the Nine of Spades, his emotions are easily disturbed and frequently um, assailed. Trials and disappointments in the home life are a big factor in this difficult path. There is usually a lack of understanding and cooperation. The life may be interfered with by ill health or some member of the family. Marriage is not family matters. Marriage is not apt to be satisfactory emotionally, or some unforeseen problem in connection with the marriage partner may have to be met. The Jaguars people are continually tested in their love life. So I don't know what Gina is, but hopefully she's doing okay. But not a space and a Jack of Hearts. They too have to let go and grow. You know, and nines
She
are
might
never
be
seen
getting
as
tested in
easy
her love
path.
life. Gina might be getting tested.
Right, or and it may not. And love is, I think, that's another word that we have taken it and held it to such a given it such a standard that it may not be able to kind of withhold without giving it a little bit more loose definition, because there's a lot of people that we love, and we have love for, right? So, not to say it's just her intimate love life, but love is family, friends, and a lot of other people, right? Not to put her business out there, but I do know that the interruption came when last week during it was because she was giving friendly advice or helping others. So those emotions, trials, disappointments, we have to really look at the nine of spades in full context and see how it's able to kind of navigate the emotions and help guide and grow, and trying to stay balanced in a way. But yeah, that's the nine of spades week in a kind of summary. Next week, going to the ten of spades, which is also around home, health, work as well. With
Rashad,
actually mix of it. Go ahead.
do you think we should? I like the Mondays. I don't mind it at all. And it is the start of the week. Should we tell about the week that we're actually going into instead of the week we left? Should we like somehow catch up and tell it for the week that we're going into? Because like I think about when I listen to my astrology reports for the week, they're telling me Wednesday to Wednesday, or they're telling me Friday through Sunday, like the kind of things that might happen or what's going on, right? So that kind of gives me a little sense of my terrain. And the way we do it, I think we're teaching a lot about the energies of the week and how they play out, but we're not giving it as like a report of the way you might use the energy in the coming week. It's just a thought. I'm wondering what you think about it.
No, yeah, you're fine. I've seen that we're kind of almost done. I guess with this chapter, we've kind of done it both ways, and I can't
Okay.
say that I like either or over the other, but yeah, I don't mind switching it. I don't know how I'm like thinking like what else to add or other things to do. We're running on 2 years, so it's like how do we grow within what we're doing and then the channel. So I think that would be kind of good looking towards the future, as because that's what people like and are more interested in a lot of
Mhm.
times. Um,
But I think the weekly energy is very interesting, and I think it will catch on because I think it's definitely something that influences a lot. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Especially if your cards are in that card, like especially if you have cards with that card, that kind of thing. Like, say you're living a nine of spades year and it's a nine of spade week, like you're going to probably have an impact, right?
Mhm. No, yeah, for sure. I definitely see the benefits of doing it both ways. But yeah, I don't mind. I've actually, because it was a nine of spades, I was like, there has to be something that's going to change within how to I operate and do this, anyways. I was like, because I'm already the last 2 weeks. Also, being the holidays, we've had to change it to a weekday. So it's like, all right, maybe we're
But it's
changing
going to
maybe
be
even
holidays
the
all
time,
season.
and also
Yeah, it's going to be holidays all season. So maybe the Mondays is the better time. But then it's also
yeah,
like,
that's one thing.
what are we dropping? What are we dropping that people can use that they want to listen to during the week, right?
hmm Right now,
But
as
we can
far
say
as
goodbye. We don't need to discuss this online.
Are you fine? They're saying the live in action, how you let go and grow, right? So,
We're
uh,
just putting out
uh,
ideas. We're just considering how to keep the fire going in the card table because it's still growing in its awareness. But I do sense it will become a larger and larger classroom for how to use the energies that are part of the influence of everything.
and people go back and listen too. So I do appreciate those people who don't
Mhm.
get it the first
Yeah.
time.
I've
And
sent
may-
people to them. I was like, go listen to your cards weekly live and see what you learn. And it's fun. It's a good library.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a big one. Actually, like I said, we're on 2 years. At this point, is how do we turn it into an audio book? What we've consumed
Oh.
so forth. That is kind of like the next step, and then maybe continue on. And so we'll kind of talk about that later, because
Mhm.
I feel like we have enough, more than enough context to turn it into an audiobook of some kind. But
Mhm.
yeah, so again, watching us grow and grow. So yeah, we'll see. I guess about a weekday, and then doing the like early weekday, Monday, Tuesday, because we was doing Friday and talking about the current week. But I
We were
guess,
doing
like you said, or
Thursday. Remember
maybe
we
even
were
doing
doing
it on Sunday.
Thursday?
But we'll see the best days Monday through Tuesday.
Remember we were doing
Yeah, in the
Thursday,
middle of the week. Yeah.
Sunday. Now we're thinking about Monday. So, you know, but it's okay. Like you said, it kept happening and it's happened for almost 2 years now. And I think the library is strong, the audiobook is possible, but also like how do people use this relationship with the cards and what we've been talking about to help influence their choices and help them feel like they're connecting to what's happening, right? So we'll let that come in. It is new moon. We're still in the new moon. So I make that intention that we become so clear on what it is that people need and what they want to hear that it will help them understand these cards in their life.
Yeah, so we ask y'all, let us know what do you want? Do you want a weekly prediction, or do you want a weekly review? Do you want us to talk about the coming week of what's going to happen, or talking about what happened and showing how the cards relate to what happened works better for you? So let us know. We appreciate you showing up and listening in every week. And if you have any questions, let me know as well. But tennis space week, it is the success. It is a success card, a card of success. And I've started out pretty successful for me. I've got a lot of things done. I got my website fixed. It's up and running. So hopefully we get a live operating business here pretty soon, and here at the Ship Burlington. So that is what I'm looking for the week is seeing the successes or seeing how I can kind of work out um, this business here. But anything for you this week or anything you want to speak about?
Oh, we have December 7th. We have this Saturday coming up. There's going to be 12:30 to 2:30 for readings, little mini astrology and cardology readings with Rob Stewart, Donna Webb, Gina, and myself. And I put up an IG about it. I know Gina's been putting it out and Rob too. And I can send one over to Rashad if he wants to put it out as well. And if you want to register, you go to thefamilycardtable.com. And we're really just looking to spark more and more awareness and bigger conversations with people who are in your spread or people that are at your age and stage, because there's so much we can grow through with awareness and recognizing how we're not all that different, even though we have so much uniqueness to our gifts. The paths, these 52 life paths, have a lot of information, and a lot of it is where we can get stuck. So the more you are aware of the tendencies of where you might get stuck and where your moments might come to breathe and shift, these can really help you understand how to play your cards in your life path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
So that's why we play.
sound like it'd be really dope. I always tell refer to people like in my family to other people. Actually, I'm supposed to get somebody a reading, which I really don't do that. But I love referring to other people, especially if you got a reading from me before. I would rather for you to go to someone else next, so you can
Mhm.
get a different perspective. And because, I always find it funner to talk to people I don't know because I don't know your story.
Yeah,
But
you just kind
appreciate
of,
it. You said
yeah.
what?
I said, yeah, you're just kind of saying what you really see in the cards. You're not thinking about their story. So I hear you.
Right. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. See you all next. Maybe I'm talking about next week, probably this week. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you too.